Powerful committee that makes policy recommendations for one of San Antonio's largest school districts. Tonight, controversy around a woman appointed to Northeast ISD's School Health Advisory Council. Crystal Keen's husband convicted for his role in the riot at the U.S. Capitol and continued to post controversial material on social media even after being released from federal custody. As KSAT Investigates' Dylan Collier found, Keen herself has been a frequent critic of the district that she now represents.
Last month, Northeast ISD's School Health Advisory Council, or SHAC, held its first meeting of the school year. Among the new members tasked with providing the district guidance on topics ranging from mental health of students to sexual education
I'm Crystal Keen.
Was Crystal Keen, a licensed nurse appointed by District 7 trustee Marsha Landry. Public records show Keen is married to Matthew Mazzacco. Their Stone Oak home was raided by the FBI in January 2021, shortly after the Capitol insurrection. Mazzacco posted this now infamous selfie on Facebook with the caption, "The Capitol is ours," despite later deleting the picture.
Below his Facebook profile,
Mazzacco was outed by social media users and parents of a San Antonio youth sports league to which he belonged. The feds eventually charged him with entering a restricted building without lawful authority and violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. Prosecutors dismissed the second charge after Mazzacco agreed that summer to plead guilty to the first charge. He was sentenced to 45 days in jail on the federal misdemeanor and became the first Capitol rioter sent to jail after prosecutors had recommended home confinement. The judge in the case criticized Mazzacco for denying a riot had taken place and for blaming the violence at the Capitol on Antifa. Late last month, KSAT attempted to speak with Keen and Mazzacco at their far north side home, but no one came to the door. So days later,
Crystal, do you have a few minutes to talk to us?
We caught up with Keen before the start of the public SHAC meeting.
I just want to ask you a few questions about your appointment to the committee.
Did you go to anybody else's front door?
I do that pretty much every single day.
So,
any comment on that?
my husband served his time that was given to him by the judge. I'm a separate person from my husband. So if you want to interview Matt, you can definitely do that.
Through his criminal attorney, Keen's husband said he didn't want to be interviewed and had no comment. Mazzacco, who finished his federal sentence in February of last year, resumed a social media presence after his release. Many of his Facebook posts are public. In them, he repeatedly compares President Joe Biden to Adolf Hitler, has reposted racially insensitive content, and launched into written tirades against out-of-state school boards, writing last October, quote, "There are a lot of child molesters out there. A lot of them wear suits and ties." A day later, Mazzacco shared this video of a parent berating a North Carolina school board over a widely banned book that was found in a 7th grade classroom.
Any teacher that puts material like this on his or her bookshelf is either a bad teacher or a pedophile who grooms children.
Mazzacco wrote, quote, "These pedophiles are everywhere, and they want to have sex with your kids." Literally. Patrick Von Dolen, one of the founders of the San Antonio Family Association and a frequent critic of NEISD's sex education curriculum, said Keen's credentials as a nurse for 14 years trump any concerns about who she's married to, his criminal record, or what he posts on the internet.
Crystal's a friend and been known her for several years, and I would say that that's a private matter for them that they need to discuss.
But Von Dolen concedes
who are not influenced by their spouses. I'm influenced by my wife, and hopefully, and usually she would certainly say for the better.
Internal NEISD records obtained by KSAT show Keen has frequently tracked the communications of NEISD board members, including its president, Shannon Grona, has asked for records on district drug abuse instruction and school behavior plans, and last October even accused its board of not following the bylaws of SHAC, the committee she now belongs to. In February, in an email to NEISD superintendent about banned books, Keen incorrectly questioned whether an employee of the Chicago-based American Library Association was actually a district employee with a similar name. The superintendent politely informed Keene they are not the same person. For KSAT Investigates,
I appreciate the camera.
I'm Dylan Collier.
Trustee Marcia Landry did not respond to emails from KSAT asking her about the appointment of Keene, whose term runs until 2025. The School Health Advisory Council makes recommendations to the board, but cannot vote on new policies or curriculum for the district. We'll be right back. And thousands of auto workers across the country gearing up to walk out of their jobs if their demands to the big three automakers are not met. Tonight, the UAW president updating members on their plans for a possible strike, which is looming ahead of a Thursday night deadline. ABC's Melissa Adon has details.
A possible strike looming for all of the big three U.S. auto companies. The United Auto Workers Union says offers from Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, which makes Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep vehicles, are falling short.
The working class is being left living paycheck to paycheck and feeding off the scraps. You know, the price of vehicles went up 30% in the last 4 years. CEO pay went up 40% in the last 4 years. Worker pay went up 6%.
The UAW president adamant without a deal, the union will strike and ramifications could be seen quickly. According to economists, if the strike lasts more than a month, car prices will spike. Ford president and CEO Jim Farley telling ABC News they've put forth a new offer and are optimistic.
It's the most lucrative offer in 80 years working with the UAW. Large pay increases, top 1% health care. We're going to be, we have profit sharing. We're going to be adding inflation protection.
Farley, however, calling some of the union's demands like a 4-day work week not sustainable, adding a multi-week strike could be devastating to the U.S. economy.
It's critical that we find a deal, but there is a limit, as I said. We're not going to mortgage our future.
It's not going to wreck the economy. It's going to wreck the billionaire economy. And that's the big issue here.
The union is calling on higher wages and stronger benefits like cost of living adjustments, more paid time off, and an increase in retiree pay.
If a strike is called, it would be the first time workers at the big three automakers took to the picket lines all at the same time. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The manhunt for a convicted murderer in Pennsylvania now over. State police say Danilo Cavalcante was found in tall grass with the help of heat-seeking technology from a helicopter. Cavalcante had been on the run since August 31st, evading hundreds of officers for days. There had been multiple sightings of him, but Cavalcante was able to slip through police search perimeters, steal a van, change his appearance, and steal a firearm. He was convicted last month of first-degree murder for killing his former girlfriend. The technology for a robot revolution may not exist yet, but as artificial intelligence becomes more prevalent, the need for some regulation is mounting. It's like a science fiction movie. Karen Kafa in Washington with a look at what's at stake.
The future is here. Artificial intelligence is rapidly gaining traction, and now the U.S. government is playing catch up to put safeguards in place.
We're on the cusp of a new industrial revolution with enormous promise, but a panoply of perils.
Nearly a dozen industry leaders, along with several labor unions, civil rights, and entertainment industry representatives, convened on Capitol Hill Wednesday for a forum intended to chart a path toward comprehensive regulation. On the agenda, ways to harness the benefits of AI.
When it comes to fighting cancers, fighting long-term illnesses and so forth, I think AI has real opportunities.
Along with a number of growing concerns, including job protections, national security, copyright, and defending against doomsday scenarios.
What often keeps me up at night is the effect of AI potentially in displacing millions of American workers.
But Gizmodo AI reporter Thomas Germain says apocalyptic fears are just a distraction from problems AI is already creating, like racial bias and facial recognition software and new ways to spread misinformation.
We're all worried about the robots taking over, then we're not going to be concerned over these, more boring, mundane issues.
Last week, a bipartisan framework for a European-style regulatory agency was introduced in the Senate, a move lauded by many in the tech industry.
Let's prioritize safety and security, which your framework does.
Though some critics are concerned regulation could stifle innovation, the hope is to get ahead of the tech and keep the industry in check.
Legislation is coming whether the tech companies like it or not.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Take a live look outside right now. Yes, 89 degrees, and man, the cloud cover helped us out big time today.
Yeah, it sure did. Another day below 100 in the lower 90s. And by the way, that sun's getting lower in the sky. Sunset now 7:42 p.m. We're starting to notice that shift and the darkness coming in a little bit earlier and earlier. 91 right now officially at the airport. By midnight, we're at 79. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., 76. And notice those rain chances, 20 to 30% this evening. There is a bit of a wild card for that. We'll talk about it along with an update on the tropics, what we're watching out there and where it's going in just a few minutes.
Before we go to weather, I want to show you a quick shot on TransGuide right now. This is the camera at Loop 410 and Crossroads, and you can see what looks like a minor fender bender, but at least 2 lanes of that roadway seem as if they're closed right now. Things off to the side, which is good, but traffic slowing down through this area right now. Now let's talk about weather and talk about the fact that, yes, it's cooler. Is this the cold front that we've been waiting for that's kind of affecting our weather? Is it not even here yet, Adam?
We did have a weak boundary move through, and that's one reason why we're not exactly triple digits. Otherwise, clouds have really been helping us out. It's a very weak boundary, but can help kickstart some showers. More opportunities for rain are on the way. Our best shot right now is still looking like Friday night. That could be anywhere from Friday late afternoon through early Saturday morning. Timing's still uncertain and no triple digit days going forward. We're going to get to all that in a moment. First, I can't pass this up. This is such a great shot from the Bracken Bat Cave. Mike Jones went out there recently and look at these photos he captured. Not just that, but this right here. Bird of prey snagging his supper there. What a shot. It really captures just the sheer volume. And this is just a snippet of how many millions of bats fly out of that cave on a nightly basis this time of year. And we often spot them on the radar. Right here, you see the big plume come out. It's not that time yet. They're not heading out to get their supper quite yet, but they will be shortly. Otherwise, you see this little boundary. It looks like a little outflow boundary pushing southward, and that may help trigger a stray shower, but right now it doesn't look like it. What we're focusing on is West Texas and Mexico, these areas off to the west of us for more development. We have this boundary in place right here and some weak little ripples in the upper level flow that's helping to kickstart some showers and storms near Alpine, Big Bend National Park, and then stretching into Mexico toward Del Rio as well. If these storms can hold together and develop even more and potentially even organize, then we could get in on the action. It's one of those issues. Then we could get in on it. All it takes is a little extra ripple in this upper level flow to help support it, and then the steering winds to carry that activity our way. Even if it's just leftovers, we may be boosting these rain chances for overnight tonight. Right now, we don't have a whole lot of confidence in that scenario actually playing out. We want to see it really start to come together before we can go in on it. So we've got it at 30% for now. In the rare event that changes, we'll let you know ASAP, especially on the KSAT Weather Authority app. We'll send that notification out. As for the rainfall the next 3 days, I did mention Friday night, and it's not just for us, but you look at the rest of the state, drought-stricken Texas, it's looking good. It's an unsettled pattern that we're in right now, so we have some areas of rain. It's just not a very well-defined pattern, so those rain chances can change pretty quickly. I want to talk about the tropics. We've got a 90% chance of development just off the African coast that's headed into the Atlantic, into the central Atlantic. We have Margot, and we also have Lee. Lee is, of course, what we're focusing on right now. Category 1, or Category 2, I should say, max sustained winds at 105, heading just about due north, scraping Bermuda on its west side there. Likely to be a Category 1 Saturday afternoon just off the New England coastline, possibly even hitting parts of Maine with some of the hurricane force conditions, especially the surge and high waves coming in from that storm. And the spaghetti models pretty consistent. Most of them having the center of this storm moving into eastern Canada there, but the effects will still impact parts of New England and made actually the whole East Coast seeing rip currents and higher surf because of that. 93 our high temperature today. 91 right now. Dew point is 65. Tomorrow we start the day at 75. 20% chance of rain early and into the midday. 30% chance tomorrow afternoon and evening. Just barely triple digits from Eagle Pass to Carrizo Springs to Cotulla and Dilley. Most of us in the mid-90s tomorrow. That enhanced chance Friday evening, Friday night, and into early Saturday. We've got it in the scattered category. We'll keep you updated because this forecast can change quickly.
Yeah. Friday night football could get wet.
It could, yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Adam. We'll be right back. Tonight, we now know the name of a woman killed in a shooting on the northwest side. SAPD says 44-year-old Lydia Morales was shot and killed outside of an apartment on Chambers Road near I-10. Officers say the man who shot her says it was out of self-defense. Police are still investigating the incident. San Antonio police also investigating a wrong-way driver who officers say intentionally hit a patrol unit. Happened last night near Loop 410 and I-10, the interchange there. Officers had to use spike strips to get the woman's car to finally stop. She was arrested on suspicion of DWI. The man on trial for being the trigger man in a murder for hire plot continued today. During the trial of John Cantu, the officer who found the victim, Mike Pettis' body, took the stand and described the scene to the jury. Testimony continues tomorrow morning. Federal appeals court has set a date for the controversial border buoy case. Oral arguments in this case will be heard on October 5th. Last week, a federal judge ordered those buoys to be moved. Just 24 hours later, the appeals court ordered a temporary freeze in this case. That's your 60-second recap.
Rain chances spike Friday evening, Friday night into early Saturday at 40 to 60%. It's a fluid situation. We'll be able to hone in on it, so check back for updates.
Thanks, Adam. We'll see you on the Night Beat at 10.